Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Meerkat Musings. I'm your host, Ben. I'm coming at you today with some thoughts around ego and animosity and pride and generally a slew of stuff which, is coming from a very peculiar comment that I found on someone's blog the other day. I was just perusing the web as I sometimes do, and there were a few blogs that are of interest to me that I follow, and I found a comment on one such blog that really threw me because I can't think of a reason as to why this particular post, or why this particular comment, I should say, was made. It seems to be made entirely out of spite and out of anger. That's the only thing that I can conclude. The gist is basically someone was talking about being able to bring their babies home from hospital after they were born prematurely, and they talked a bit about how lovely it was to bring them home to the rest of the family, and they shared some lovely pictures of the family kind of reunited, and it was a wholesome, beautiful little story, and nothing that you'd think anyone could be offended by, but one person in the comments was offended. I mean, they referred to the person who shared this as a warped moron, and they just generally speaking were seemingly really put out by the idea that this person was just sharing a little story of joy and happiness. And I can't fathom why someone would want to do this. It just struck me as being completely and utterly unnecessary, motivated by perhaps jealousy, perhaps, as I say, ego in some way, perhaps just motivated by pure cruelty. Who knows? I mean, to give you the exact quote, so this is what was said. Begin quote. "You are one of these warped morons who thinks everyone is interested in your personal life. They aren't. Oh, and since you do not believe in a biblical marriage of one man, one woman, why are you married to one woman?" End quote. As I say, this comment was left on a lovely little story, and I just cannot fathom in any way, shape or form why it was left. What was the point of that, other than to be spiteful and petty and miserable, and generally speaking, exposing themselves to be rather unhappy. Now, I get in many respects when you post stuff on a personal blog, are you leaving yourself open to accusations of preening, perhaps a little bit? Are you operating under a exaggerated idea of your own importance? Are you, what is it you're trying to achieve, sort of thing? But it doesn't mean remarks like the ones in that comment are in any way justifiable. And there are people out there who will enjoy and appreciate the story of someone else, even if it's only to a minor degree in some way, shape or form. It might be soothing or pleasant to some readers. And at any rate, you don't need to justify why you run a personal blog. You don't need to explain to anyone else why you write the posts that you write. My blog is, for the most part, a personal blog. I talk about stuff that's of interest to me. I share stories from my life, and I write about the topics that I find to be fascinating. And I do this largely for me, because I enjoy it, But equally, I do appreciate that there might be people out there who do rather enjoy the things that I write, and I'd like to think the stuff that I put out there is not, harmful in any way. It's not, well, I say it's not offensive. I mean, I have strong opinions on certain subjects that I know people disagree with, but hey ho, that's life. And what goes around comes around, sort of thing with that. But there's no need to be responding in a cruel or nasty manner in those circumstances. I don't go around other people's blogs where they share personal stories and say, "Oh, that's rubbish. That's just your ego talking. You're an idiot if you think people care." That's just cold, nasty trolling. And the sort of person who does that is quite cowardly, really, when you stop and think about it. But why? So, as I say, we come back to this question of why. Why do people do it? I'm really struggling to get my head around this particular comment and why it was even made. I've been the victim of similar comments, to be fair, with people, sort of throwing name calling at me and stuff like that, and never justifying it, of course, because, well, they can't and they don't even try, because, as I say, they're cowards. It just, I was flabbergasted when I read this. Well, I say I was flabbergasted. Actually, I wasn't that flabbergasted, because it subsequently turns out I know who left that comment. And based upon what I know of them, I'm actually not that shocked. Still somewhat shocked, because it was low even for them. But still, it really does kind of make you think about the mentality of people who do this. It's punching down, isn't it? You're trying to make yourself feel better about yourself by putting others down, as opposed to trying to do better about yourself. And it's sad, it's pathetic, it's not on. And I would love to get a better understanding of this person's headspace, especially when they left this cruel, vindictive, spiteful little remark.